Welcome everyone. We'll be talking about supply chain management in this presentation. So the basics of supply chain, what exactly is meant by supply chain management and how does an organization benefit from it is what we will be learning in today's video. So what is it that we are looking at? We are looking at the flows in the supply chain from the end customers to the from the factories to the end customers, as the case might be. It's in the form of information that goes around it, the product, the funds, and anything and everything is a part of a supply chain. So what is knowledge? Is it a collection of data? Absolutely not. Collection of data is not information. Is it collection of information? Probably again not, because there might be a lot of information, but it doesn't pertain to your benefit. So there is no knowledge. Is it a collection of knowledge? Probably again not, because you might have the knowledge, but you do not know what are the better outcomes or how will you utilize the knowledge to your better utilizations. A collection of wisdom, again, collection of wisdom might not be the truth as exactly as it all about it, but yes, essentially, as we move from data to information, from information to knowledge, and from knowledge to wisdom, we essentially realize the potential of us and probably find a clear cut direction. Look at x-axis. If we are plotting understanding of our perspective of our situation, and then on the y-axis, if we are going to plot our independence or contextual, how dependent or independent as it goes around it, from information, from data to information, from informations to knowledge, and knowledge to wisdom. That is basically understanding relation, understanding patterns, and thereby understanding the principles of all. So yes, the agenda for the day is we will be talking about brief introductions. What exactly is supply chain management? Supply chain management, how important it is, the origin thereof. We will be talking about the essential elements in terms of purchasing, in terms of operation, in terms of distribution and integration. That is what we will be talking around it. Strategies for supply chain management, future trends in supply chain management, and thereabout. So, what is supply chain? Supply chain consists of flow of products, flow of services from raw material manufacturers, from to intermediate product manufacturers, from or to end product manufacturers, from or to wholesalers and distributors, from or to retailers, and from or to end customers. When people might say, how can it can be from and to? Because at times the customers might not be satisfied with the product and would like to have a refund, or there would be warranties and guarantees that needs to be taken care of, and that is where they have to return the product which goes into the manufacturing facilities for the requisite conditioning of the product. So yes, we are talking about every movement from raw material to manufacturers, to intermediate product manufacturers, to end product manufacturers, wholesaler, distributor, retailer, end customers. We are talking about connections in terms of agents, transportations, storage activities, integrated through sharing of knowledge, sharing of information, sharing of planning and processes. And there are plentiful of examples that comes around it. If you look into it, this is what the intricate relations that comes around it. Everything has been marked, as you can see around here. We are talking about the sources, we are talking about the regional warehouse, field warehouse, the customers. There is something called supply chain which goes around it, the production, the process thereby, and that is what we are looking into it. In between inventories, in between transportation, in between inventory and warehousing product, and the transportation cost that goes around here. This is what needs to be ascertained every now and then. So, what is a typical supply chain, if we may say? Typical supply chain is right from the flow that goes from this direction, from left to right. If that is what needs to be understood. It's from your purchasing. We are talking about receiving the product. We are talking about storage of the product, the operations of the product, and thereby the storage of the finished product per se, which goes to the distribution. So we have purchased the raw material, probably inventory upon it, worked upon it, WIP, work in progress, in terms of receiving, storage, operation, manufacturing, probably again finished, so storage of the finished product. Then goes the distribution part about here. That is what we are looking for. Typical supply chain manufacturer for a manufacturer would be there are many suppliers because there might be many raw materials one, raw materials two, and probably raw materials three, and we can have plentiful. I can give you an example in terms of an automobile. Maybe the windshield has been supplied by the glass manufacturer, the tires have been manufactured supplied by the rubber manufacturer, the engine is what the automobile manufacturer would be actually going around it, and then there would be electrical fittings, there would be other points that needs to be taken care of. So yes, we are going to store such kind of raw materials, we are going to assemble those manufacturing process. Again, the finished product we will be storing it out. Once the automobile has been finished, the product has been done, we need to make an inventory about it before it moves from the distributor channel to the retailer, and finally the end customer, customer like you, customer like me, will buy up the automobile and probably start using it. For a service chain, the typical supply service chain would be wherein we are talking about suppliers, one supplier, two suppliers. Somebody is supplying you, let's say, for a restaurant, somebody is supplying you raw materials or non-vegetarian materials, raw non-vegetarian materials. Somebody is supplying you just drinks, perhaps alcoholic drinks, perhaps non-alcoholic drinks, whatever the cases might be. So again, we are assimilating them in the form of storage, and then probably manipulating it, manufacturing certain food product or servicing it to the guest. That is what the typical chain of a service management will all be across. So the two definition which I am very much comfortable with, and I'm sharing the same. The Institute for Supply Chain Management said that the design and management of seamless value-added process across organizational boundaries to meet real needs of the end customers. Managing supply and demand, sourcing raw materials and parts, manufacturing and assembly, warehousing, inventory tracking, orders, entry and order management, distribution across all channels and delivery to the customers is what the Supply Chain Council was state around it. So, what is the exact goal of supply chain management? First, supply chain management is concerned with the efficient integration of supplier, factories, warehouse and stores so that the merchandise is produced and probably distributed to the in the right quantities to the right location at the right time. Why? In order to minimize total system cost. Why? In order to satisfy customer service requirement. That is the exact goal of supply chain management. So importance of supply chain management is all about value enhancing things, having a long-term benefit, probably right storage, probably extending the shelf life. Who benefits the most? Firms with large inventories, firms with large number of suppliers, firms with complex numbers of products, firms with customers with a large purchasing budgets or big deep pockets. These are the people, these are the organization who benefits the most. The benefits, the lower purchasing inventory cost, higher quality and customer services as on when on required is what we are talking about it. So importance of supply chain manufacturing, we will talk about the firm practicing supply chain starts with the key suppliers, moves on to the other suppliers, other customers, other shippers. Now is the time where they are going to integrate the second tier suppliers, probably the customers. Second tier refers to the customers or suppliers, probably from whom they are sourcing and probably managing their inventory thereby. So that is what we need to go across with it. Importance of supply chain management. We are talking about cost saving. We are talking about better coordination of resources or the reasons to employ supply chain. Let us understand the bullwhip effect, the magnificence of the safety stocks, and the cost based on the separate forecast, uncoordinated planning and sharing of information along the supply chain. Reducing the bullwhip effect occurs through the process integration. Interdependent activities can lead to improved quality, reduce cycle time, better production methods, probably better forecast, less safety stock, etc., that comes around here. Important elements in supply chain management is all about purchasing, operation, distribution, and integration. Purchasing of supplier alliances, supplier management, strategic sources. Operations is all about demand management. MRP is material resource planning, ERP is enterprise resource planning, JIT is just in time, TQM is total quality management. So, yes, we are talking about operations. Distribution, transportation management, customers, relationship management, network design, service response, logistic. We are into the integrations, coordination, integration activities, and global integration problem. Performance measurement as on when on basis. Look what is happening with an important element of supply chain management. In terms of purchasing, we build, we sustain, we probably strive towards a long term relationship. Supplier management, improve performance through supply evaluation, determining supplier capabilities and performances, supplier certification, third party or internal certifications to assure product quality and service compliances. Talk about strategic partnership, successful and trusting, long-term relationship with top performing suppliers as on when on basis as the case might be. So important element of supply chain management. We are talking in terms of operation. Look what is happening. We have three peoples around here, three people. One, two, and three. Whereas we just have two people around here. Now, what are we looking at? Looking at it. So demand management and match demanding to the available capacity should be there. Linking buyers, linking suppliers with MRP, material resource planning, and ERP, enterprise resource planning. If we plan for more and probably the demand is missing, we are only building on our inventory and probably blocking our capital. But if the demand is more and the supply we are not able to match it, again we are losing on the business. So this is a thing that needs to be ascertained, used just in time to improve the pull of the materials time and again. We are talking about the inventory materials, employ total quality management to improve quality compliances among the buyers, among the suppliers. Distribution is all about transportation management, trade off decision between cost, timing of the delivery, customer services via trucks, rail, water, and air. Customer relationship management strategies to ensure deliveries and resolve complaints, improve communication and determine the service requirement then and there. Network design, creating distribution network based on trade-off decisions between cost and sophistication of the distribution system. Then, so we are talking about integration. Now this is where we are talking about supplier or customer, supply chain integration. When supply chain participant works for the more or less the common goals, requires intra-firm functional integration. Did I say suppliers based on the effort of change attitude and adversarial relationship? You need to understand, in business context everybody is trying to make up, putting up an value added service, value added products, and passing it to the next best chain, no matter what we are looking at it. So, global supply chain, the advantages that accrue from sourcing of large global market. Example, lower cost, higher quality, and suppliers may involve operating exposure, which is risk found in foreign setting. Supply chain performance measurements crucial to the firms or no if the procedures are working. Strategies for supply chain management is everything. Everything in terms of advanced strategies, the techniques, the approaches for supply chain. We are looking at global optimization. Optimization means higher productivity. Optimization means higher customer satisfaction. Optimization means lesser cost, and managing uncertainty, as that is what the management would be focusing on. Optimization and managing uncertainty. Optimization, what exactly it is, we need to understand. It is all the parity as average revenue per product, per unit cost, average what we are going to do around it. Can we pull down the cost thereby and probably increase the profitability? Why is it important? Because it gives an inkling directions whether the firm is doing things right or the firm is simply doing the right things. There are marked differences between doing things right and simply doing the right thing. You might be doing the right things, but it is not adding up to the profitability of the company. But when you do things right, it adds up to your balance sheet. So, what tools, what approaches are to be helped. Now we are talking about those tools and strategies is DSS, decision support system. One of the major things as to when the transportation logistic has to be planned, when the purchasing power has to be mitigated, what amount of balance should be made in terms of manufacturing and outsourcing. So this is the decision support system that gives you an ample clear picture about inventory control, network design, design for logistic, and probably cross docking. So global optimization, what exactly it is? Why is it different and better than the local optimization? We are looking at global optimization. What, why not global optimization? Because at the end of the day it's the global village and we are going to make a business with the cutting edge scenario, technology, or organization, come what may, because everyone, all the markets in more or less is accessible to all the customers and the companies. So why is it better than local optimization? Because you might be able to find customers which might not be within your vicinity. Or localization, what are the conflicting supply chain objectives thereby, and what tools or approaches with the help of the global optimization. So let us understand the sequential optimization vis-a-vis the global optimization. Look what we are looking out here. Sequential optimization is procurement, manufacturing planning, distribution planning, and demand planning as on when on basis. So yes, one after the other is the sequential optimization. First, we need to understand what is the demand. Based on the demand, can we start planning for the distribution? Once the distribution has been planned around it, probably thereby you need to understand manufacturing. Should we go for core manufacturing at one single area, or should we do for part manufacturing where majority or bulk of a core manufacturing has been done and made to order manufacturing has been done at the site, or the procurement planning as the case might be. Whereas in a global optimization, look, from sequential optimization how different it is. All about global optimization, we are making a supply chain contract, central collaboration and information system. We are talking about DSS. This is what we are looking at here. Absolutely, this yellow line, everywhere it has been done as in demand and planning, been done as on when on basis, distribution planning. There is a vertical integrations, absolutely cross docking, absolutely cross functional, absolutely information exchange has been done on a real time basis, and based upon it decision has been taken about what to do and how to go about it. So why global optimization is hard? Because the supply chain is simply quite complex. Why? Because you might have a production unit, you might have a quality product, but then the customers might be far off, scattered, and you don't find a regular customer, decent customer, or probably a loyal customer at one segment and one area. The customer preferences changes, and that's the supply chain becomes more complex. Different facilities have conflicting objectives. The supply chain remains a dynamic system as on when on basis the power structure changes around here. The system varies over a period of time. So, what is all about uncertainty? It is the variation. It is the VUCA world. VUCA, VUCA is volatile, uncertainty, complex, and ambiguous world that comes around it. There is a lot of dynamic environment. We are talking about randomness. What tools and approaches help us to deal with these issues, as the case might be? Can't forecasting help? Probably. Forecasting is always wrong? Probably not. Probably right. The longer the forecast horizon, the worse the forecast will all be all about it. End items forecasts are even more wrong. So we should not be able to predict anything beyond 1 year time, because by 1 year time things might change, both on the economic front, both on the preference front, both on the technology front, you name it, we not be able to pinpoint the right decisions to why planning fails or falters. So planning is good, forecasting is good if it is done for a week, for a month, at best for a quarter. But beyond that, things are become better for dicey. Why is uncertainty hard to deal with? Is yes, because there is a mismatch in the supply and the demand. It is just not possible to match the supply and the demand as on when on basis. Forecasting does not solve the problems, thereby inventory and back order levels typically fluctuates the widely across the supply chain. Demand is not the only sources of uncertainty. Lead times, yield, transportation times, natural disasters, and component available as on when on basis. What are we looking at it? Let us see volumes being plotted on the y-axis and time being plotted on the x-axis. Now we are looking to build upon it as an actual consumer demand. See, the consumer demand is more or less stable, but at times it dips also and probably it recovers. But then retailer warehousing to shop. Now, how does a retailer plan it? Now, if you look into it, when the demand was high, the retailer was not planning, or probably this was the area that I'm trying to go around it. The retailer was understocked, and the moment they overstock it, probably the demand fell out here in this particular area. If you look around very clearly, so it becomes very mismatched. Again, the demand dipped, and again the demand increases. The retailer warehouse stock decreased because they wanted to get rid of their old stock altogether. This is what has been happening around here. So, in terms of volumes, what happened? This is how the volume goes around up and down, and probably it becomes the supply chain nightmare to predict it altogether. Yes, manufacturer forecast of sales does not actually reflect what has been happening. You look what is happening around here. So the volume goes ups and downs as on when on basis, and the manufacturer had promises moons and stars up till this point. But when they see the volumes has gone ebbed out, they start lessening their production altogether, and you see the sudden acceptability of the volumes, or the customer preferences changes and the demand increases. Again it comes down, the production comes down and the demand goes up. Probably then they increase the production, but by then they have lost the momentum. See the complexity that goes around it with the retailers demand, the actual consumer demand, the actual volume that goes around it. So this is the point that needs to be taken care of, and this is what the production plan is all about. It, the production plan in the red line will tell you how complicated the things are all about here. So what management gets, we need to understand the consumer demands and the production plan. If we have to go around it, what does actually the management gets around here? The management gets the previous things which is very fluctuating, but what the management would want a steady understandable variability in between what has been actually demanded and what has been the production plan is all about it. Because any other variation bigger than the acceptable 5% or more will not be acceptable, will only be pitching the balance sheet of the company altogether. But then whatever management wants, does it actually happen? Probably no. So dealing with uncertainty is all about being pull system. As on when the demand comes, then and there you will be manufacturing it. So it is all about risk pooling as to whether you should go for inventory, stocking of the raw resources, raw material, or stocking of the finished products. We are talking about centralization, postponement, strategic alliances, and collaborative forecasting, as the case might be. This is what is exactly meant out here. Supply chain, the magnitude in 1998, the American company spent approximately $898 billion. Probably $900 billion would be the approximate things to go around it. In supply related activities, that's 10.6% of GDP. We are talking about transportation, which gulped up approximately 58% of the cost. Inventory went into the 38% of the cost, and the management only were left with 4% of managing the aptitude and the volumes then and there. The third party logistics services grew in 1998 by 15% to nearly $40 billion. Let us understand the magnitude of supply chain. Remember, in a grocery industry could save approximately $30 billion. That's 10% of our operating cost. That's a whooping amount we are talking about. A very sizable operating cost can be taken care of by managing just the supply chain by using effective logistic strategies. A typical box of cereal spends more than 3 months getting from the factory to the supermarket. From the supermarket, probably if I say in the very first instant, it gets picked up by the customers, well and good. That means still 90 days, but essentially within the supermarket also it can lay down for another 2 weeks before it starts moving. The typical new car spends around 15 days traveling from the factory to dealership. So the actual travel time is only for 5 days. Absolutely, this is what we are going around it. We can reduce this operating cost by one third by the two examples that I've cited for you. Compact custom computers estimates are it lost around $500 million to $1 billion in 1995 because of its laptop and desktop were not available. Whereas when and where the customers were ready to buy them. Why? Because the production was not planned accordingly. Boeing aircraft, one of the American leading capital goods producers, were produced to announce write-downs of $2.6 billion in October 1997 due to raw material shortages, internal supplier plots, and even recently, if I may say so, the automobile industry went with the shortages of the chips. As a result, the fuel injection chips were missing, and it affected the production capacity of major automobiles across the world. And this is what happens with the magnitude. Procter and Gamble estimated that it saved retail customer approximately $65 million through logistic gains in last 1.5 years. So according to P&G, if you talk about it, the essence of his approach lies in the manufacturer, supplier working closely together, jointly creating business plans to eliminate the source of wasteful resources across the supply chain. We would to love to say about the potential of supply chain in 10 years' time. Let's say the Walmart transform itself by changing its logistics systems altogether. It has the highest sales per square foot. Per square foot. That's what Walmart is supposedly renowned for. Inventory turnover and the operating profit at any discount retailers. On the other hand, Dell Computer has outperformed the competition. I'm talking about Hewlett Packard. I'm talking about IBM machines in terms of shareholders value growth over 8 years period in 88, 96 by over 3,000%. That is what we are looking. How and how did it do it? It went to the direct business model. It went into build to order strategy. Build to order is basically customization of the laptops and the desktop according to the preference of the customers. It went across it. So what is it new that comes around it? Global competition is new. We are witnessing the advent of multinational companies vying for local attentions, in fact, trying to gulp up the local productions altogether. So, are we ready? Yes, we are. Shorter product life cycle is again one thing. Customers are spoiled for choices. They before they get accustomed to another one product, they another product which is equally attractive and more feasible, probably even cheaper, is made available to them. So shorter product life cycle, new low cost distribution channel, more powerful, well informed customers. Every customer has a good repository of knowledge as to what they want, what they expect, and how things perform. Internet and e-business strategies have been flooded in the market. With this words, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.